Good afternoon and welcome to Orient Live. The O's are back in action here in E10 as we take on Walsall. And the O's are, of course, looking for a first victory in 3 league games. And I'm joined by none other than Glenn Wilkie and Andrew Butler. And today is also, of course, a dedicated fixture for the No Space for Hate campaign, running in partnership with Waltham Forest Council, raising awareness to how we can all tackle racism. But first of all, Glenn, it's a big one for the O's, back on home turf and looking to get back to winning ways.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, I'm quite excited by this actually. After the last couple of games on the road, it's nice to get back here. Hopefully, we'll have a big crowd today, cheering the boys on, and I've got big expectations of the team today. And
saying that we're winless in 3 games, it's maybe a bit harsh. 2 draws in there. A tough away game at Barrow last Saturday, and the O's hoping to pick up 3 points today, no doubt.
Yeah, definitely, and I think it's a game that we really need to be absolutely winning, just to keep up our kind of promotion credentials, like the good early season form that we've had. But we've only lost 2 games so far this season, but we're drawing too many. So this is absolutely a game that we want to be going. Look, Walsall are okay. They've had an all-right start to the season, but nothing spectacular. Absolutely a game we should be winning.
It certainly is, and hopefully it's going to be an exciting one for all of you watching along. And if you are, of course, watching on YouTube, don't forget, if you're an international fan, you can go ahead to the Match Centre and purchase your match pass. Or if you're watching from the UK and you're not here today, you can purchase an audio pass to listen along with Dave Victor and Matt Hiscock. But now let's take a look at the starting 11 for Leyton Orient this afternoon. It's 2 changes for the O's, with Tom James returning from suspension, replacing Craig Clay, and number 22 Lance Vigouroux is in goal. Number 3 Connor Wood at left back. Number 9 Harry Smith up top. Number 11 Theo Archibald out on the wing. Number 15 Alex Mitchell. Number 18 and captain Darren Pratley. Number 19 Omar Beckles. The second change for today's game, number 20 Ruel Satiriou. Number 25 Shad Oji, and number 26 Hector Kiprianou. And on the subs bench, Roose Byrne, Dan Happy, Paul Smith, fresh from international duty with Northern Ireland, Craig Clay, Dan Kemp, Aaron Drinnan and Tyrese Omotoye. So, as I said, that is the 2 changes for the O's, with Aaron Drinnan and Craig Clay dropping out in place for Tom James and Ruel Satiriou. Let's start with the first one though, Andrew. Reece James is no real surprise. The quality he's shown this season, it's fantastic to have him back from suspension.
Yeah, Tom James. What do you mean? I would say I would wish that we had Reece James here at the club, but Tom James is fantastic. I really, really like the player. He's I think he's been fantastic start of the season. Really, really good. And to have him back, that suspension came, in a game that you play him against Barrow, and you're looking at maybe just that added bit of quality, on the right hand side to potentially turn that 1 point into 3. So to have him back in the team, been great since he's arrived. I enjoy watching him play, personally, a hell of a lot. And so I'm really excited that he's back in the team too.
And Craig Clay did do a good job against Barrow. It was obviously a tough away game, but having James back in at right back, it does make you feel a little bit more balanced and a little bit more structured.
No, definitely. Craig done very well last week. I thought defensively more so than going forward, and that's what we lacked last week with James out of the team. We'll see it today. He's very good at getting forward. He's scored a couple of goals this season. His ability to get a really good, dangerous cross into a good area of the opposition box is outstanding, and he was missed going forward. But Craig Clay did well defensively last week, but it is a welcome return today.
It certainly is. And what about the second change, Andrew? Are you surprised to see Ruel Satiriou come back into the team?
A really interesting one. Not one that I disagree with kind of in any way, but what Ruel does and what Drinnan, compared to what Drinnan does, is that I think that Ruel's been such an excellent impact sub so far this season. And Drinnan kind of really can stretch the game early doors, and so I'm slightly surprised, but also I get the feeling that since Kenny Jackett's come in, he just wants to see kind of just enough from Ruel to say, look, here's your start, here's your place in the team, here's your chance to really prove a point. And he's scored a couple of fantastic goals. If you even look back at pre-season, that goal against Spurs that he scored, brilliant goal. And I think this is the one of those games where he's kind of like been put in the team to really show the manager, this is my place. I want to be playing 90 minutes like every game, or starting every game at least.
Do you know, if I was Ruel, done well when I've come on, played against Crawley last week, done well. I've turned my country down to say I'm not coming on international duty because it's going to affect me getting in this team. He's actually done that. He's turned his back on his country, which shows massive loyalty to us. If he will be knocking on Kenny Jackett's door saying, what else do I need to do? So I wouldn't be surprised if there was that kind of conversation during the week. But he's done enough to warrant a start for me. Same as Andrew, he's very good impact coming off the bench. But let's see how he starts today. Hopefully he does very well.
The goals have slightly dried up with our attacking players. They obviously had such a fantastic start to the season, but they haven't really found themselves on a score sheet. Do you think the introduction of Rox Tiriou, that unknown factor he can bring into a game, he's so tenacious, do you think that will hopefully help the other two in that front three?
Yeah, I think so. I think, with regard to your first point of the goals drying up, I think we were just so kind of not fortunate at the start of the season. We were clinical, clinical, but incredibly blessed to have three players that were just kind of right at it, playing together, as a trio so well that teams just couldn't handle them. The further and further the season goes through, the more chance that other teams have a chance to look at them and go, okay, right, we'll put two players on Harry Smith. That's what's happened in the last couple of games. He's been slightly quieter than before that, and so I think our attacking options are certainly where our strengths lie, because we've got Ruel and coming in, and I think you're right, he will offer something slightly different. But then, if that doesn't particularly go too well, our bench is looking incredibly strong. Drinan on the bench, Paul Smith coming back from international duty, was incredibly lively. Probably, arguably our man of the match against Port Vale, despite only playing the second half. So, that's a good thing, and that can only be a good thing. But yeah, for Ruel to really make his mark today, he needs to be providing a goal, an assist, something that really gets the crowd up on their feet, which he can do. Ruel is a player that's close to a lot of people's hearts because he's come through the system. When you're playing at home, you've got all the support behind you. Everyone is willing you on to do better.
Absolutely. And what about at the other end of the pitch, Glenn? Dan Happy's being kept out the squad by young Shadoji. Maybe we've leaked a few too many goals for Kenny's liking, would you think?
Possibly. I don't think it's too many goals because we've not conceded bundles. I think it's the manner in which we've conceded. There've been defensive errors, and that's the problem. You can sort of let someone have one, but when it's two or three and they're not learning by their mistakes, then that's the time to sort of get them out of the side. One, it's not healthy for them mentally, that they're thinking I'm costing the team points, and two, it's not good for the team because it is costing you points. So he's made the change. Shadoji's come in. He's done well. He's done really, really well. From where he started at the beginning of the season, he played left back, didn't he? He's played across there, and he's been out the side. He's come back in. He's done really, really well. And I think that defensively as a unit at the back three, the only time we've come unstuck as a back three with Dan Happy in there was probably against Port Vale, where they exposed us down the sides with pace. I know Walsall today have got a bit of pace up front, but I can't see that happening too much with Shadoji in there. The worry is if Connor Wilkinson comes off, what position will he take up? Will he try and fit into that bit? But defensively, we're very strong. And what we do have in defence is guys who cause a threat at set pieces for us, and we score goals. Our defenders score goals. Walsall have conceded a lot of goals from defending set pieces. They're very, very weak on them, so they'll probably be working on them more so than ever to sort of take advantage today.
I think that's why having James back in the team as well, just whipping those balls in, that threat from set pieces will be massive. We've seen how effective that's been so far this season.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, we are certainly going to come on to both the Walsall team and also go more in depth with the O's side shortly. We've got a few bits to get through first. We're going to be joined by Callum Reilly very shortly, but first let's hear from Kenny Jackett's pre-match thoughts.
Well, Kenny, there's a point on the road at Barrow and now the chance to back up at home this weekend.
Yes, it is, and we could have won the game at the end. We really didn't get going though until we were 1-0 down. But there's positives in that because away from home going 1-0 down can be tough, and so we responded very well. But similarly, there's been a couple of games where I think we'd like to start better, and in terms of ourselves being able to create chances, get a little bit more of a tempo going earlier in the game. That's going to be our aim. While there's never a bad thing about drawing away from home. We want to set the bar high and our standards and what we want to work towards as continually improving.
Walsall, a bit similar to ourselves, had a big turnover in the summer and probably haven't had the start that we have had, but they have had a win against Salford last weekend and we're expecting a tough game.
Yeah, I think they've settled down. If you look at their team selection, it's been pretty consistent, which shows you they've been successful in recent games. And they've got a good way about them in terms of what they're doing and what they're playing, and I feel they're finding their feet and coming onto their own, and I'm sure they feel that as well with their performances.
Home form for the O's has been impressive this year, and it'll be key to start on the front foot this weekend.
It will, and we will want to do well, try to get our crowd behind us, which they've been excellent so far, both home and away. Been a great atmosphere, and we want to repay that with good performances and consistent performances. So for us anyway, as you say, where we start this little flurry of games where we play Walsall, Forest Green and then Stevenage, there's sort of 9 points within 8 days, and that can make a big difference within the season when you get games on top of each other. Momentum one way or another is a big thing in League Two.
We're absolutely delighted now to be joined by Orient midfielder and our last signing of the summer transfer window, Orient midfielder Callum Reilly. Callum, thank you for joining us this afternoon. And first of all, I think what all the fans at home will want to know is how are you getting on with your current injury that's keeping you out the side?
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you very much for having me today. Doing really well. I mean, it was obviously disappointing. Came in wanting to hit the ground running, and probably that was accumulating me probably pushing too hard to try and be back out there and helping the boys. And there's slight growing problem, but it should be sorted next couple of weeks, and hopefully you'll be watching me out there, and hopefully I'll be able to help the lads as much as I can.
Because what I don't know if you can tell us more about the injury, but I think you got 60 odd minutes against Southampton in the Papa John's Trophy. Where roughly are you with the injury? What's the issue?
Yeah, no, it was a groin injury. I had obviously I was light on minutes going into the time I signed it, so it was a case of that we wanted to try and build up my minutes really quickly to try and put me in the frame to be playing or available on match days in the league. And as I said, he probably just pushed it a little bit, a little bit too much, and it was maybe a fatigue thing that set in with the groin, and it was just had a slight issue with the groin, but it's something now that we've got on top of. And as I said, I was out running on the pitch today. I've been running all this week, and I'm hoping to be back involved in the next few weeks. Fantastic.
And for those fans that weren't here for that Papa John's fixture against Southampton, what would you tell them to expect? What do you think you can add to this midfield and the O's team on the whole?
Look, from what I've seen so far, I was obviously watching a lot of games before I even came in, and obviously I've seen a lot of games since I've joined. Fantastic unit already in the midfield. We've got a fantastic team, and it's just for me, I'm hoping I can obviously add maybe, as I said in my interview, on a sign, a little bit of experience, maybe a little bit of know-how. I think that the lads have done extremely well, so it's not about making anything major changes I think I can add to the team. It's more just hoping I can obviously add my input, and that's I'm thinking why the manager brought me in.
And from the sidelines then, what has kind of been your vision of the team and how we've gotten on? How's it around the training camp as one of the injured lads?
Yeah, we've got a fantastic group. I mean, obviously I haven't been able to help out on the pitch as much as possible, but the boys have been brilliant with me, and it's a case, as I said, it's a great solid bunch. They've got a good team, ethic and passing through the camp. They're all really professional boys, and they're all working towards the same goal, which the manager's obviously instilled in all of them. It's as you said, I think the goal is very clear to the fans, and the connection there between the fans and players, it seems to be very good to me from what I've seen at the home games especially. And the boys have been fantastic this week. They've been camp, they've been brilliant, and I mean, we're all set for a good performance today, hopefully.
Callum, how much are you looking forward to just being out there on the pitch? Obviously, it's always going to be terrible being on the sidelines. As much as I think we're all right company, you really want to be down there on the pitch as well, in front of pretty much what will be quite a busy crowd. How much are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, I was just saying to your colleague on the comms that I'm going to be doing today as well. It's thoroughly enjoyable doing this, and it's the next best experience, if you like, to not being out there, and you obviously still feel immersed and still feel like you're playing a part, but it's not the same at all. And as I said, I had a little period last year. I haven't had many periods during my career, but it just had a little period before I finished at Wimbledon where I was obviously out for a little bit. I was doing a little bit of this as well, and I do enjoy it, but yeah, desperate to get back out there, and hopefully it will be back out there in a couple of weeks and I'll be out there for good then.
Great.
And judging by the accent, I think Walsall's a fairly localish club for yourself. Do you know much about them and how they've gotten on this season? What are you expecting from the game?
Yeah, I mean, I live I live the opposite side in Birmingham. I live Solihull way, so it's not too far, but it's still a team that I've obviously came across in the past, played against them many times, and I've watched a couple of their games recently, knowing that we've got them coming up. I know a couple of their players, obviously Connor Wilkinson, who was here last year, talented boy, and scored last minute the other week, so he's one to watch for when he does come on. They started the season a little bit inconsistently, but they seem to, as the manager said before his pre-match, they seem to have settled down now in the formation and the playing style that they've got. And the last couple of games I've seen them, they've caused the teams a few problems, so we're going to have to really be on it today.
Well, fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us, Callum, and hopefully see you out on the pitch shortly. And of course, as we mentioned at the top of the show, today's a dedicated fixture to the No Space for Hate campaign in partnership with Waltham Forest Council. We caught up with goalkeeper Lawrence Vigouroux to hear his thoughts on the matter.
Cheers, Callum. It was tough, you know. Well, it's not common that you see a black goalkeeper, so I think a lot of the perception was, you know, he's got a mistake in him, and you know, I've had to battle through that my whole career, and not just me, you know, there's loads of other black goalkeepers have had to deal with it, and you know, it's something that I think's changing. You know, I look at Mendy at Chelsea, you know, I had never heard of him when he signed for Chelsea, and you know, he's done amazing, you know, and he really has kind of paved the way, you know, for a lot of black goalkeepers. You know, we can look up to him as a reference, you know, for what he's done, and in the recent past, you know, especially, and you know, I feel like that perception's starting to change a little bit. You know, I'm looking at our league, most definitely, that I think there's 7 or 8 I can count on the top of my head that are starting week in, week out. So I feel like that perception's changing, but it's a long way to go. I don't want goalkeepers to be picked just because they're black or because they're white. That's something that I don't want. I just want people to be picked fairly on merit, and whether he's black, white, or yellow or green, it doesn't matter. You know, I feel like it's important that kind of bias of, you know, he's black, he'll make a mistake. I feel like that's starting to leave the game a little bit, and moving forwards, that's all we can ask for. You know, just to be judged on our abilities, and hopefully that can continue in the future.
Thanks again for Callum for joining us just now, and of course that was phenomenal stuff there from Lawrence Vigouroux on what is a really important subject in today's game. If you want to hear more, you can head over and listen to the feature version on our YouTube channel and do that. So now let's take a run through the Walsall side that the O's will be facing this afternoon. In goal, number 12, goalkeeper Carl Rushworth. Number 2, Hayden White. Number 3, Stephen Ward. 4, and their captain Josh Labady. Number 6, Manny Monte. Number 7, Brendan Kiernan. Number 10, Emmanuel Osadebe. Number 11, George Miller. Number 15, Kieran Phillips. 17, we've heard he's a bit of a stud, it's Jack Earing. Number 24, Roland Menayeze. And on the subs bench for Walsall, Jack Rose, Connor Wilkinson, Alfie Bates, Tom Leake, Sam Perry, Matt Sadler, and Tyrese Shade. So, Andrew, the most familiar name on that team sheet, and probably the one we were all fearing the most, is thankfully on the subs bench, but he did get a 91st minute winner last week. So, yeah. What are you pleased to see him on the bench this afternoon,
yeah,
Connor Wilkinson?
No, Connor Wilkinson, I always had a lot of time for when he was here at the club. I thought he was a supremely talented player. Occasionally, you know, would find himself frustrated by his own performance and with other people's performances, which I think occasionally would let himself down a little bit in that regard. But you know, I think his talent is unquestionable. I remember someone at the club saying, you know, last season actually it was he can be as good as he wants to be, and I think it's kind of up to him. So seeing him leave the club and go to Walsall was a bit of a shame, but you know, we know what he's capable of, which can go one of two ways really. It means either the defence knows what he's going to do all the time, cut in on his left, but I think he's a really good player, and we've seen it last season a lot. You know, go on his left, and then occasionally he will just go on his right. So if he comes on, it'll probably be Shad that will be trying to keep him quiet, and I don't know if there'll be one of those things where Shadrach obviously wasn't around the club too much when Connor was here. He's a younger lad. Connor might just want to may think, oh yeah, I'm gonna pick on him.
Well, maybe. Well, if any of you eagle-eyed viewers watching on the screen just there might see our new mascot Cleo making her debut alongside Theo. So big welcome to Cleo. But let's look back at the Walsall starting 11. Who stands out for you, Glenn? There's a few recognisable names on there, and they've started inconsistently, as Callum said, but it's going to be a tough test still.
They have. For me, the goalkeeper, they've got him in on loan from Brighton. He's a very, very good player. He hasn't played their last 2 games because he's been away on international duty with the under-21s, I believe. So he's back into their side today. He's spoken about very highly. They don't think they're going to be able to keep hold of him until Christmas. They think he's going to be called back. So he's a big plus for them today. They've got another lad in on from Barnsley on loan. I forget his name actually. I think it's the one of the forwards. I haven't got the team sheet in front of me, but he's lively. He's on loan from Barnsley and he's done very, very well this season. He's pacey, he's quick, which is the same thing I know, but he's aggressive as well, and he'll sort of close down at defenders on the ball. He'll try to make mistakes and nick the ball. So they are a very, very good team. The problem from what I've seen with them and speaking to some of their supporters is they seem very good and they create a lot of chances going forward, but the problem's their defence. Like we said earlier, they concede a lot of goals from set pieces and they are very shaky at the back. So that's where we know that, they know that. That's where we need to sort of capitalise.
Yeah, I think on that, like they've got Stephen Ward at left back, who's obviously an incredibly familiar name to most football fans who's watched football in the last 15 years or so. But he's getting on a bit. Ruel, if he can target him, just take him on one for one, he'll get the better of him.
And obviously we know that we can get at their defence, but how do you think Walsall will be looking to get at the O's this afternoon? They won't be looking to just come away with a 0-0.
Yeah, I mean they play a 4-2-3-1. They haven't changed. The goalkeeper Rushworth's the only one who's changed. So they obviously feel that their win against Salford last weekend, they've got enough there to also just come here and beat us. I don't think they're not coming here to just like grab a draw or anything like that. So they play a 4-2-3-1. So if they're all up in attack, they could outnumber us, which is a potential worry. But at the same time, they will be so aware of how quick we can be and quick on the break. So they'll try and get at us by pretty much outnumbering us or going 1 for 1. But yeah.
If they play 4 up front, I'll be delighted because that's 4 up there. That means there's only 5 back that way or 6 back that way. So it is what it is. I think we'll do very well today. I feel like you say, if they do play that system, we've got the 2 holding midfielders who can just drop in and cover it, but they are lively up front, but their weakness is at the back.
And Lebadi's obviously a household League 2 name, and that'll be a key battle for the O's. Darren Pratley and Hector on that midfield. He's a good player, Lebadi. Yeah,
I like him. He obviously was kind of made his name and was incredibly experienced coming in from Notts County. Very, very good player. Pratley versus Joss in the midfield there is going to be a proper battle. But yeah, we'll see how they get on. I mean, I said this off air, but perfect conditions here as well at Brisbane Road. I mean, if it's one of those games where if you're a footballer, you can't wait to be out there, and I want to be out there. I love being up here with you guys, but I just you look down at the pitch and go, oh, perfect conditions for this.
I prefer the rain.
I'm not sure you've got the minerals to be out on the pitch there, Andrew. But now looking slightly forward ahead to 24 hours time, the Orient ladies team are in action in West London, and they are facing Actonians Sports Club at Gunnersby Park Sports Hub. That's W3 8LQ. So if you're free tomorrow not doing anything, do head over there. It's free entry. It'd be great to see as many people supporting the Orient ladies. But now let's remind ourselves of the Orient starting lineup that is kicking off in just under 5 minutes. In goal, number 22, Lawrence Vigouroux. 2, Tom James. 3, Connor Wood. 9, Harry Smith. 11, Theo Archibald. 15, Alex Mitchell. 18, Darren Pratley. Number 19, Omar Beckles. 20, Ruel Satiriou. 25, Shad Oji. And 26, Hector Cipriano. And on the subs bench, Reece Byrne, Dan Happy, Paul Smith, Craig Clay, Dan Kemp, Aaron Drinnen and Tyrese Omatoye. And let's look at that subs bench very quickly, Glenn. We've got Paul Smith on there, Little Smith. He went away with Northern Ireland, of course. I don't believe he got any minutes, but having that option on the bench, we saw what he could do when he came on against Port Vale. He was electric. Yeah,
he's a massive threat, and Kenny Jackett said in the week, he's the player that they're most excited. Out of all the signings, the real key sort of marquee signing who was going to do the business for us, we haven't really seen him, have we, so far? Seen him in sort of fits and starts, but if he gets back into this side, gets his fitness levels up, he can cause the opposition all kinds of problems. And Andrew spoke about we've sort of been a bit dry up front with goals in the last few games. he's a guy, he's key. He will unlock defences with his passing and he will add goals to it. So he's really exciting to have him back on the bench for us.
It certainly is. And we touched on that midfield battle and about Labady, Andrew. Darren Prattley, captain. Going to be a big one for him today, and obviously alongside Hector. How do you think they're going to get on?
Hopefully really, really well. I mean, it's the sound up here is, it's louder than it's louder than I think we expected it to be. It looks like a great atmosphere out there. Walsall have brought enough as well to probably make a decent atmosphere from the away ground. So, yeah, hope it goes well. Absolutely.
Well, the O's fans are too loud. I can't hear you that well, Andrew. And of course, the teams are out on the pitch until you are in a taxi rings around the Pro Group Stadium. It's time to hand over to our match commentary team of Dave Victor and Matt Hiscock. But join us at half time and we'll be joined by Nigel Travis. Come on, you O's.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Braille Group Stadium, Brisbane Road, and I'm delighted to say that we have Callum Reilly up joining us on Orient Live. And Callum, it's interesting to see a couple of changes for the O's. I think there's no surprise that Tom James has come back into the team, but it's Raw Soturio who is up front.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me today, Dave. A couple of changes. Tom James was probably always likely to come back into. He's been very impressive so far this season, and Ruel has obviously performed exceptionally well in the cup competitions and deserves his chance today.
Just the one